4 p.m.
Okay, council, I'm gonna call roll. Council member Amparano.
Here.
Council member Thornworth.
Here.
Council member Mendoza.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Obeso Martinez.
Here.
And the mayor will be here shortly for inform, and so we'll make sure the record reflects his attendance when he arrives.
We'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor Pro Tem, we've received no public comment, and so I think we're at the point of the agenda to go into the work study, and I would suggest that we wait for the mayor unless there are some very preliminary things that Victor can go over.
Good evening, council members, Pro Tem, Mayor Pro Tem. Well, first of all, thank you for being here on the Monday after Sunday. This is just the continuation of the series of budget workshops that we have been doing. This is actually the detail of what I have been presenting. This year I kind of did it a little bit different. This is already what we have reviewed internally based on adjustments. I do want to disclose I did find a couple of errors because this is input after the Excel we need to input here. So I did find a couple of errors and I'll note those as we go along. There's not many, but other than that, if you have any questions during the meeting, interruptions, go ahead and interrupt me. This presentation is focused on general fund departments, water, wastewater, and IT departments. The other special revenue departments are going to come with the actual presentation. There's not really much for me to budget for, except for what's designated since they are special revenue. We have to abide by those regulations, like the CFDs and all that. It's just maintenance and all that. Other than that, the one thing that is missing here, still vehicles. Vehicles are, excuse me, from the request that it was presented last council meeting. We're still working with public services, getting final numbers and all the quotes because the different vehicles. We do have funding available for it through the various, depending who owns it. The general fund departments can be funded through our vehicle replacement fund, but we're still debating if we are going lease, buying, council's preference, or anything that we need to adjust for. Other than that, the two major projects as well in vehicles is the street sweeper, which is around $500,000, and the fire truck, which is $1 million. And those still not certain where the funding will be from that. That's why I excluded them. So as soon as we wrap up this year and the 24-25 and finalize our budget for current year, I can be more specifically sure how much funding we have available or where can we start. At least for the fire truck, the first year there's no payment, so we've got a year to think about it where our first payment is coming to, and it is at like I previously mentioned, a 36-month delivery date. So we got 1 year to finance free, then start thinking about making payments in year 2. Other than that, the packet you receive are all departments in detail, line item by line item. CIP projects excluded because those at the end of the year we need to balance what we actually are spending, completing, and all that. And those are coming from already designated sources for like grants, water funds, wastewater, LTA, Measure D, gas tax, and all that. So those are at the end of the year. We're working with the department heads to reconcile their expenses, and how is it going to impact the final budget. But it won't make or break whatever we're putting down because those are already assigned revenues for those projects. Other than that, that's my general disclosure.
I would expect the mayor to be here any moment, so I would maybe take a brief recess.
Can we take a recess?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. So take a recess at 6:40.
Yeah, that worked out well.
Not very good.
So you should all have a packet in front of you. Good evening, Mayor. As I told, this is the detail of what I've been presenting in the previous meetings. So it's basically same format, same funding, general funds, water, wastewater, and our IT division. So with that, if you have any questions, please feel free to interrupt in any of the line items. If I can't discuss it, if I can answer it, I'll defer it to my colleagues around me and all department heads. So with that said, we'll start with City Hall departments. And let me explain a little bit how the columns, what the numbers in the columns reflect. So the first column that says prior year, that's how we ended fiscal year 23-24, last fiscal year. Those are actual numbers. Then we go to second column was the original budget that was adopted back in July. And if throughout the year we made any changes, it will be reflected on column 3. On column 4, where it says actual through June, that's actual expenditures we have paid as of this morning. So this report is fresh off the press. And lastly, the column 6 and 7 are the requested budget amounts. So the column 6, what was requested by department, and column 7 is what's suggested by finance. So basically, we're reviewing column 7 for this workshop. And if you have any questions, like I said, the amount, the reason, we should be able to answer it without any hesitation. So with that, the budget for the city council, I don't know how do you want me to do it? Do you want me to go line by line, or I know if it's too much, just totals, and if you have any questions on the department, review that? How do you prefer to review?
I'd go by totals and if we have a question.
All right,
If,
Perfect.
if you could, we go total, it might go a little fast. If you have anything that there's been a significant
Yes, I
increase
do.
or something,
And-
like an
and-
outlier, can you bring that to our
and I do, on my copy, I do have a marking, so I'll go with that. So, all right, we start with city council. The requested budget for this year is $95,800. The major difference here is it was increase this fiscal year through midway through the year. So the biggest impact are the salaries. Other than that, everything is really status quo. So the major impact here on this department was the actual compensation.
I have a question. How many of it, I mean,
Yes,
the health insurance?
we have 2. We received 2 health insurance that we paid out.
But this is for council, correct?
Yes,
It's a reimbursement.
reimbursement, correct. Any other questions on city council? Okay. Moving along, we have city clerk. City clerk actual budget actually is going down due to one of the services being transferred over to IT, which is contract service. So we're not budgeting anything this year. And the elections is going down as we don't have any elections for this plan for this year. So that's another savings there. Total budget for city clerk requested is $25,600.
I will say, council, that we're having some discussions with the city clerk. That may cause that number to change, and so we'll certainly bring that forward once those discussions take place.
Okay, moving along. We have city attorney. City attorney, it's a contract. It's a $96,000 contract. The difference for this year is the discussion of maybe getting additional help, counsel, professional services. So that's about $2,000 per month That's in case we use them, so it's it's not finalized, it's just something that, it was requested to see if we can budget it, if we can actually have it and contemplate it and bring it in. If, city attorney needs additional help, reviewing paperwork, caseload, or whatever it may be. So that's the major significant. Everything else is zero out except for the actual contract itself.
I would just say, council, that is another aspect that we've had, the city attorney and I have had some ongoing discussions about. This past year, I think, has seen, what I hope is kind of a blip in terms of, what we can expect to happen. The other aspect of this is that, the city attorney, the rate that the city of Imperial has paid the city attorney has not changed since she started. And so we all know about inflation and things like that, so, yeah, so chances are that's gonna change a bit as well.
Okay, moving along. City manager. Here, the major difference is, total budget is 933,000. From previous, coming up, last year, or current year is 899,000. The major difference here is salaries. The cost of salaries, we're fully staffed now with city manager, that, assistant city manager is also falls under that, budget. So that's the major difference in, budget for the city manager. Everything else, the contracts, which is the other major expense, those are the contracts used by city managers for, mainly, lawyer fees as well, and the basic travel and meetings that, they attend. All right, moving along is admin financial services. Here, there are none any major changes. The one is salaries. We now have accountant full time on and staff, so we're fully staffed, with, accountant coming in mid this year. So we're requesting, it's a little bit of a bump. Total is 771,000, up from 736. And I try to budget, all in all departments as close as we're spending. So it's, even though we may have requests previous year a lot of money or this, so it's more the actual what we're doing and projects and the cost of operations that go up.
I like seeing that it's out of the contract service and actually into staff.
Excuse me.
I like that it's taking from was a contract service and putting it into the staff
Correct.
budget. Yeah, that's fine.
Next is accounting and reporting. This is basically our external auditors. That's the cost of the yearly audit. Next is, human resources. Human resources, total budget is 951,000. The major change here is contract services. We are increasing, 100,000. We are expending a lot in litigation. So that's something, the last 2 years, we also ended up around 272. This year, we're already at 273. We still got a month left and all the invoices that are coming in. So we're planning of 300,000, and based on discussion, those are mainly, litigation fees. There's no running away from them. Moving right along. General services. General services are all the city hall charges or expenses that do not belong to one department itself. It's just as a group. Here, the major change is, and I have discussed it previously, is retirement. So previously, our unfunded liabilities that go through for retirement were being paid out of the balance sheet. So basically, in the back end of the audit, so we were paying them, but it was not reflected anywhere in the actual budget. So this was requested by our auditors that we are currently doing it. It was pointed out. So this year we actually put in the actual expense, which is 575,000 for the city for unfunded liabilities. So the part that belongs to general fund departments, it's 239, and you'll see another part in police services, which is actually segregated. That's how we get billed. And I do want to point out my first mistake here. You see bank charges. It's empty. It's at zero. It should be $80,000. Our total bank charges for the year are around about 250,000, and half of them are the costs that that we don't charge our residents to make payments online. So that's something that it has been in discussion with the city manager to see how can, because it is a lot of money monthly. It's around $10,000 that we cover for residents to make payments. So we don't charge whether you pay Venmo, PayPal. We get charged, but we don't pass any cost along to our residents.
So it's almost like a credit card.
Yes. So, but and we get charged depending on how they make the payment. So we get different charges. If even if we have direct deposit or automatic payments, we do get charged by our system. But we don't pass anything along. But we get exactly for Venmo, we get like $2.99, and for bank, it's only 99 cents. So there's different charges depending on where the charge is coming from us. At the end of the day, it's all gathering one location for us, but we get charged per transaction. So that's around 10,000 per month. So maybe we can discuss maybe a way to alleviate that, because we do spend a lot of money. It's $250,000 on bank charges, and the rest of the charges are actual charges from all our banks for handling our credit or accounts.
Mr. Mayor and Council, I would just say that when the cities started accepting alternative forms of payment as a way of encouraging folks to do that, sign up for auto pay, things like that, the city determined that it would absorb the fees that Victor's referring to. And so that's something to take into account, whether or not people, how people will react. I think it's pretty common these days to get charged something when you use some alternative forms of payment. So that's something that you might want to think about in terms of recovering some of that cost.
You know what the people are thinking? That their fees are already high enough, that they're paying already. That should be included.
It irritates me when I get a bank charge. So
I know what you're saying, but
I get a charge if I pay IID.
gives you ACH.
put it in the
But at the same
thought
time,
process.
$250,000 is really annoying too.
Yeah,
If it's
no, I
only-
agree.
If it's only 10 grand in that, that's 120. The rest is the bank charging.
Correct.
The rest
It's
is the bank
yeah.
charging us for
Whatever it is they charge.
for their
for services, correct. And the other significant here, charge that's going away, it's the commitment fees, line 5522. This is the amount that we were paying back Volkswagen. So since they went out of business, or they closed the dealership, we don't have to return those monies in. So we don't expect that money, giving back the money, but we're not receiving the money either. So
Which one was that?
5522 commitment fees. We did receive the revenue and we had to pay back some, based on our contract, but, we're eliminating that because we are, terminating contract.
Do we have any more, like, any of the vehicle dealerships that have any of the?
No, Volkswagen is the only one. Moving along. Okay, that's for City Hall. Any questions for City Hall departments?
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Next, we move to the two gentlemen on my left, fire and safety. Same format for all worksheets is the same format, previous year, current year, and requested. For police, basically for all the departments are generally status quo. The only increase is salaries, which is taking account merits and the 3% to 2.5% that's in our MOUs. As you can see, all their line items are pretty much in line what they have spent this year and where the previous budget is. There's some outliers here and there, but that's nothing major. So current 1.5 million for current upcoming fiscal year. Previous fiscal year was 1.4, and they were spending at 1.415. So they're pretty much in line to what has been requested. For Department 211, Police Field Services. This is where we see the other part of the unfunded charge under retirement. So we have the regular retirement and the unfunded portion that comes through as identified as IPOA. So this is where it would be charged. At the end of the day, it's all general fund money, but we just want to segregate it because that's the way the invoice is coming. So easier for us to identify it. Other than that, there's no major changes in the budget. Testing services.
Stick further down.
For the hospital, and we budget 3,000, but there's no need for that one. A special department, but it's not.
Okay,
Thank you.
it's not something that we need all the time.
Okay. Total budget for police services, 2.5. And as I mentioned, the major change is the unfunded, which is it's around 280. No, I'll get that figure right now. Next, communication. No major change here. Basically status quo, only going up a little bit on the telephone charges to cover the actual expenses. Police special program services. This is TUP funding. So this is what we receive for the funding, and we maxed out depending on the various charges or the expenses they want to. Police wants to cover with that. So this year we're figuring out it's 95,000.
Special departmental supplies. The prior year is
The-
106.
Prior year it was budgeted under that line item.
Oh, okay.
So we created the cannabis CUP funding so it could be identified in each department. Moving along, police records. Again, no major change from 430 to 490. don't know if on police. And animal control budgeted at 134 last, 148 last year. It's actually gone down a little bit to 139. No major changes, except for the contract service that, we would no longer be, contracting with the Humane Society, correct.
Do we still have to pay, like, say we pick up a dog, they stay in our shelter, then eventually we let them go?
So the answer to that question is yes, it's $70 per animal. And so the highest from the previous year was 8 animals in 1 month. So it's a savings over what we were paying previously.
Thank you. And next it's fire. We are working on a contract, but the initial estimate is coming at 1.6 million. So that number may change. But in discussion with chief, that the number looked quite in the ballpark. Sorry. What I do want to say, it's the fire truck is $1,34,000 over 5 years. So I need to figure out how we need to pay for that. And then 5 years, 5 years financing with the first year no payment. So basically 5 payments in 6 years.
What's the maintenance after that?
Wouldn't know that.
Yeah, it varies based on usage, but, and it increases each year as the unit grows older, has more miles on it, more items break down. So we're spending, probably about, from service, I mean, this is ballparking, anywhere from 10 in the early years, to 50, 75,000 a year. Even above that, if there's like a major engine rebuild, pump rebuild, transfer case, transmission. If any of those major components go out, then that's a significant cost. So it fluctuates, but that kind of gives you a rough idea of what the maintenance costs are.
And then on average, how long does a truck last?
Based on the methodology we use, which measures different factors, a number of different factors, we're looking at about 17 years for a service life. Of that, 10 to 12 years would be frontline, first due service, and then the remaining of its life would be as a reserve status. That actually helps prolong its life. You can get it to 18 to 20 years. The sooner you put it in reserve status, because then it's taking less pounding those last 10 years, hopefully.
So by year 10, you need to start looking for a new one, just in case.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
How old is our current one?
So the fire engine, so I'm gonna try to use the right terminology. So the fire engine, and then you also have a Quint, which is the ladder truck. Okay, so the fire engine is a 2007, and the ladder truck is newer. It's a 2000. I think it's 12 years old, I believe, is the ladder truck. So the ladder truck is still serviceable, and we still work on that, get it fixed. The fire engine has some major mechanical issues that we have not put money in, pending on what happens here, because we don't want to dump a lot of money into an apparatus that should be retired.
So do we utilize both on the City of Imperial, or how does that work?
Yeah, so one is primary and the other one is reserve. So right now the Quint, the ladder truck is a reserve, so it can fill in when the engine is down, the first due unit is down. There are times when both units are down. In that case, we go ahead and fill that spot with a county engine. Nope, not a problem. So that's how they rotate, is basically one's primary and the other's secondary. And then the ladder also provides that versatility, right? The added feature of having an aerial ladder device. And for special incidents, very large fires, it can be deployed instead of the fire engine.
Thank you.
Victor, I know you said you're gonna try to find the money. How are we gonna start working it in?
To
To the
So that's something that we wanted to discuss at the end, or so, many options,
You wanna do it at the end?
so, well, I'll do it at the end. That's like, moving forward, yes. Okay, so moving along, to public services. So that's fire and safety. Any other questions for? No, okay, thank you. Public services. Our first department on the public services is our public services management. Requested budget for this year is $519. It's actually going down from, previous year due to the changes in, allocations and personnel. Other than that, like it's only, there's no expense except for salaries here, salaries and benefits. Next department is our street maintenance department. This has different, and the first one is, the major one is our contract service line, which is our 525010. This request is coming due to, contract, I have my notes here. For, JPA sidewalk program and the weed abatement, contract, D'Angelo. So that is the cost for the increase.
Didn't we say we were budgeting for a street sweeper?
Yeah, well, we need to figure out,
It's not in here.
no. No, that will be under the capital improvements. Other than that, the vehicles are here, like I mentioned. The other increase in actual budget, it's, even though it hasn't been spent under 54, the last line item, equipment other. There are some, to purchase some, PCM boards and upgrades in conjunction with IT for, traffic wireless network. So that expense is budgeted in those 185,000. And total budget for streets is 1.4, up from, last year at, 1.3. And we're currently at 1.7, so unless we use everything up, the budget's just a guideline. Next department, storm drains. There's pretty much no change here. The actual, and this caught my eye, is like, why are we playing publications, under storm drains? But it's a study that we have to do that, that's, what David mentioned to me. So other than that, it's just minimal, maintenance of equipment. Which is a total budget of 29,500. Next, Department 340, City Shop. City Shop, doesn't have any major, increases in requests, except for the salaries, which all departments are increasing in. And, actual, no, that's it actually. Maintenance of equipment, it's actually going down from 70 to 60, so there's no major increases in shop. Last department for, public services is buildings and grounds. Total budget requested 648,000, up from 640 last year. It seems like it's not going up, but we are budgeting a little bit better. budget maintenance of improvements. The plan is for the 140,000 to do around City Hall any projects going through them instead of each department budgeting for their own. And the janitorial services for contract services that is servicing the city.
So that 70,000 is janitorial?
Yes, actually 60,000 is janitorial. And 10,000 is, I don't know, I don't have the notes for the other 10,000. But yeah, 60,000, the contracts for Base Hill.
I was like, that's a big jump from, it was like round 10, and then I'm like, what's that?
So those are the two major increases under buildings and grounds. Next, we have a community development department. Our first department here is 305 code enforcement. Code enforcement. We have one request here. No. No. Okay. So for community development, there are two requests, allocation recommendations, which is the engineering tech and the building inspector. So those will fall under community development.
Are you on page 25 or a different page?
I'm on page.
We
Yeah,
were
but-
on code enforcement on
looking at
page
code.
25.
Code. Yeah.
Okay.
But not both of them are going there. It's just let me confirm where they have them budgeted at.
What were the two positions again?
The two position is engineering tech inspector, which costs with salary and benefits 83,000, and a building inspector and code enforcement, which is
Difference.
between.
The engineering inspector as opposed to the other inspector.
So
On
one is for the building and safety, in the code enforcement division, and the engineering tech will fall under the engineering. So the request under the engineering is for all the capital improvement projects, especially the capital improvement projects, especially the CATRANS, that we now need to have someone on site 100%. Instead of hiring a construction manager or a consultant, we're gonna have this inspector, engineering tech, for those projects specific. So one of the issue, well, not so much issues, but not so much an audit, but with Caltrans, they are requesting us to have someone on site 100% with filling out the dailies and everything. So instead of, hiring a consultant as CM, we're gonna have this person on all those projects.
This for like STBG and all those.
SDBG, CMAC, all that funding coming through Caltrans. So yes.
Isn't federal funds usually like a CM on site as well?
Yes, and we have, and we don't have an inspector, so we do inspections, we have dailies, but not as, how they want it. So for us to have that, we need an additional body there. They want every single detail, as you may already know, equipment, how many people, are they picking up trash, you name it.
Oh yeah, they want the log.
Yes.
Is there any opportunity that for all these grant funded projects that we're going to be monitoring or that we're going to have this person out that we could try and get the salary back from the grant funding source?
Sometimes it all depends. So we have a limit. And if the issue is the construction cost, sometimes if we over the limit, then we have to do our match. But when it's below, yes, so those expenses are reimbursable. And sometimes, we submit everything to catch, and sometimes the salaries are reimbursable. So we provide timesheets and all of that.
And if we don't have that gap where we can get the salaries reimbursed, are we using their salaries as our match?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Any other questions for Oton? So the actually two allocations, so none is for 305. The 305, the difference is from the actual is one of the positions became full-time this year. So that's why there's a bigger discrepancy, but the actual budget is just basically the same as the previous year. For 310 engineering, one of the positions, the new requested position is funded. I am including the amounts already in this worksheet for the purposes of having total numbers if approved. If not, I can back those numbers out, but it's just easier for me to see final numbers, see where we need to get to. So in this project, in this Department 310 Engineering, we have the Engineering Tech Inspector, which is, like I said, a financial impact of 83,000 with salary and benefits. And due to recent restructuring as well, that's why it has increased a lot more than the 83,000. But that was from internal allocations we move around between departments. And that's basically the major difference in this department. The only difference. The one thing I do want to mention, the 5442 request of 45,000, that was which is the equipment for the streets and all that. That was budgeted under streets, even though it's a request from engineering, but it was budgeted for street as maybe we can get reimbursed through grants. And it's, I don't know what you call the.
It is the total station. So it's a piece of equipment for surveying. Now we're trying to do everything in-house instead of hiring a consultant. So we did an in-house design for the sidewalks north of Aden. So there was kind of like a savings between $20,000-$30,000. But with this equipment, we utilized two people to do all the surveying. For this equipment, we're only going to need one body. So instead of hiring outside consultants, we're going to do it with this equipment, one person, and David's signature, of course. And there's going to be a significant savings.
So the request came in through engineering, but it was actually budgeted under streets. Moving along, it's 350 community development. Actually, no major changes here. Total budget requested 477. It's actually down from previous year. It's much closer to what it's expected to be at by the end of the year.
What did we lose in the contract services?
Contract services.
What was your question? I'm
I
sorry.
was just wondering, because our contract services dropped by about 40,000.
So yes, so we're not utilizing. We didn't use that much money on the environmental justice. The boost program paid for half of that.
Okay,
So that's what's there's a significant decrease in.
thank you.
Thank you. Last under community development, we have building and safety. This is where the other position request is coming in, which is the building inspection and code enforcement. Total impact for salaries and benefits is 105,000. Where's the other?
moving on, yeah.
Yes,
5213, the state mandated fees, we don't have anything this year. So they requested 54, but we got nothing. If they on contract services.
on contract services, we haven't been spending anything the last 2 years. And state mandated fees, I would need to look, because we're spending less than 300 this year and 200 last year. So I would need to check into that one.
Anticipate that it's gonna be that high, that's, we'll probably save some of that 5,000 that we budget.
And it looks like I need to actually revise the actual salary. It didn't quite make sense, so that number should be much lower than the 286.
Thank you.
Yes, it should be around 210. So, yeah, it didn't make sense, the 105 and 286, so. So this would impact salaries, and the benefits should be okay as I look through them, but the main one would be salary. So there should be specifically about around $80,000 less there. Moving along to next department for general fund is library. Library, I do want to say I do have one identified mistake, which is the line 5332, which is the cannabis CUP funding. They do have $35,000 to spend. So, and I only put 7. So that's going to be a correction to make. That money that we already have. So it's all for the library programs. For library, we do have recommendations for allocations. We actually have 3. 2 seasonal, which are lunch at the library entrance, which the impact is $3,500 reimbursable through a grant. 2 of those, and 1 admin assistant, which is basically salary and savings of $56,000. Salary and benefits, not salary and savings. Salary and benefits of $56,000. And that is the biggest difference in the actual salary, with the exception of the correction I need to make on 5332. Most of the programs through the library, a lot of the programs are grant funded, and I know in discussion with Amber, she's been trying to get more grants our way. So it depends if we're gonna get approved or not. So maybe we will see some changes on the quarterly updates on their library.
Can I ask you a question, Natalie? Is it too early to tell based on the current climate and budgets if you're gonna have some shortfalls or maybe not get the same amount of grants?
In reference to federal funding, we're actually having 2 meetings with the state librarian in July. They canceled our monthly meeting, state meeting. So we'll find out more information then. We did receive some positive news, which was a small grant. There was a small grant that we applied for, which is called Book to Action. And it was for $5,000 reimbursable. And part of it was funded through federal funds. So initially they notified us that they did not receive, we did not have federal funds this coming fiscal year. And so $1,800 was $1,800 was offered to us. Of course, we accepted and planned to work with that. And last Wednesday, we received notice that they received some federal funds and were able to provide the full $5,000. So that's an inch towards moving towards better news. All of our state-funded programs, which is zip books, lunch at the library, and literacy services, those are all state-funded. So nothing's happening to those. We're looking good at that. And then the state librarian is very serious about looking at other alternatives of getting funds. So we'll just keep moving forward and advocating for libraries because we do amazing services for everybody.
Yeah, you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Amber.
Thank you, Amber. Moving right along, Parks and Rec. Department 420, Parks and Recreation. I did have some, couple of lines that I missed. The first one is 5124. It's at 0. It should be at 2,000. And line 5442, it should be at 10,000. I also have it at 0. Here for Parks Department, the major change or the most significant request was under maintenance of equipment for 25,000 due to increased pricing last couple of years, and this year we're already at that mark, and we still have invoices coming in, and still have a month left. Total requested amount for parks and second page. Sorry, no wonder. It's 1.8, up from 1.695.
I noticed that the contract services dropped by about 15,000. What work are we no longer covering in contract services?
No, so our contract services weren't what we projected us to be for this last year. So what we did was we reduced that amount as finance to reallocate that to the 5241 line item for maintenance of facilities and equipment. We're reducing it this coming fiscal year to 10, which will cover our plotter and printer rentals. And then that money, although Victor doesn't see it as a savings, but it's being moved into the more critical, which is the replacement of playground stuff, building maintenance, and all the things that are systematically increasing in cost, even quarterly.
Okay. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, Tony. So it's like I say, everybody, it's not a savings. It was just spending it
In a different place.
where it's supposed to be spent at. So. Okay, moving along next to the next Parks and Recs department is 421, Recreation of Aquatics Program. This is another line item. I picked on you, Tony. Another line item I had a couple of issues with. The last line, the correct amount is there. I just inputted the wrong account. So it's not grants and programs in the library. It's aquatics programs. And this is one of Tony's requests to increase to run a year-long program. So the amount is correct. I just need to correct the line item. And the CPU funding 53, that should be under special events, which is the next department. Other than that, all line items are similar or less, significantly less or minimal to previous year. Last year's budget 228 compared to this year's, which is 250 minus the 10, so it's going to be 240. Well, actually, I'm removing the whole thing under the line item 5334 to Department 450. For special events, like I mentioned, the error was in the cannabis funding, so I'm going to correct that. There should be 5,000 plus whatever they spent on under 2021. Should be everything under special events, not aquatics. Here, the major increase is under contract services. This is due to the cost of hiring and renting the the performers, the stages, the speakers, and all that. All that has increased. So that's the request coming in at additional funding for those services.
You haven't bought a stage yet with all the events we do?
So so just to break it down for you guys, and that's a very good question, right? So the stage, if you look at how it's broken down in our invoicing for sound, lighting, and all those things for our concerts, the stage is the cheapest thing on that invoice. So the rental of the stage is $500 an event. The services for sound, lighting, and all of the things that come with what our bands need is the heavy price tag. So we have looked at what it would cost us for a stage similar to what El Centro has, where the nice hydraulics and things, price tag of almost 200,000. Last time I looked at it, for us to be able to justify the cost based on what we're saving, it would take forever to repay that. So we still actively look at grants and things to be able to pay for that, but we also have to keep in mind when we have the stage and all that, we still have to contract unless we buy or we have our own engineers, the sound, the lighting, and all the components for sound check that our bands need, because we are spending a heavy price tag on the best bands we can afford to bring into Imperial, and we want the highest quality sound engineers that we can afford. So we would have the stage, but with no staff to run, no equipment, no sound systems and things. We would have to purchase that as well on separately.
Did we ever figure out? I never saw the data for how much it costs per event.
Yeah, it was sent out
Oh, it was?
BML. Yes.
Okay. My bad.
So all the revenues, all the expenses per event broken down by it was sent an email through, I think,
The city manager's office?
yes, through Olivia.
Yes.
I'll look for it.
I'll look for it. Did anybody else get it?
I didn't, no. That's why I'm surprised.
I don't think we got it.
Let me see when it was sent. Hold on.
We'll resend it or send it if it didn't go out. I thought it,
Just a question, I know you had talked about adding, have you revisited, the number of events if we do add something for July?
Yeah, so we will have, so we've been trying to talk to the city manager's office to lock you guys down specifically to go over special events. I think at this point, we're just gonna have to put it on the agenda as a discussion, direction topic, probably on the first meeting agenda of July, to go over those different things, what we're proposing to remove and what we're proposing for the future to add. And when I say future, 2026.
Yes.
Those things that we've kind of already heard rumors about, but we want to discuss those with you guys before we move forward and releasing a schedule. We want to make sure that your ideas, your input, and all those things are accounted for before. The dates of the reoccurring events are already kind of outlined, but the ones that we want to propose, and we'll give you the reasons why we're removing, why we want to add the new, and looking at removing and adding, the cost to removing one almost covers the cost of the other that we're proposing. So when we sit down with you guys officially to discuss this, you'll get a PowerPoint ahead of time, ahead of the meeting, so you can review, make your comments, ideas, and we can discuss it in that meeting specifically, so we can release that full schedule after that. So during the first meeting, which is ironically Parks and Rec month, we'll have that PowerPoint to the city managers probably within the next week, so you guys can have some time to look at it and kind of put your 2 cents and feedback into it.
So do you have a rough estimate of what each event costs now on average?
Yes. So it depends. So
Just on average, if you
on
took all of
on
them
average,
together, yeah.
probably 25.
For a signature event?
Per signature is probably closer to 40.
Okay.
So Tri-Tip is the most expensive event we have. That's probably closer to 70. And that's because we have a lot plays in. We have multiple. Not only do we pay public health fees for the market itself. We pay public health fees for the competitors. All that, when they send you the PowerPoint or the breakdown, it shows what we get reimbursed, because the applicants, the registrants of food, that's reimbursed back to us. So I think what we had calculated is about 150,000 or so. And I'm just throwing a number out there that from what I remember, it was pretty extensive breakdown. About 150,000 revenues back in, and about 300 plus what we spend. So we're spending about double of what we get back. So like we're spending about a little over 300,000, and we revenue in through vendor fees and different things, probably 150,000.
Does any of that cover with sponsorships or anything?
Yeah, so sponsorships, all that is also broken down. I think what we have to factor into is that some sponsorships are actual dollars in, others are services in kind. So when we get our videography, photography, all those things, some of those services have a value to them based on who's providing the service, and then they get a sponsorship based on that amount. So like all of our videography, our promotional videos and things, those are in-kind services we receive in way of sponsorship. Alfred's does a half and half, part cash, part in-kind for our VIP areas and those types of things. They provide those products for us to serve there. So I think over the last 3 years, we've increased those sponsorships, both in kind and money, $10,000 over the last 3 years systematically have increased. So I think this last year was about a little close to 70,000, and it's gone up. And then the breakdown, it reflects the last 3 years. It reflects 10,000 increase, but those are both monetary and in-kind services.
Does that, when you talk about the cost, average cost, does that incorporate all the overtime that goes in?
No, that's staff time separate. That's
Yeah,
just,
no, I want everything,
That's
right?
all
I
in
want to
there.
see.
Everything was provided through the email, so
Yeah.
we'll probably resend it.
Okay.
it's
Yeah, I
all
don't
in
think anybody got it.
If I can mention, the email was sent out by Stephanie on May 13. It was sent out to city manager's office. Probably they overlooked to send it to you. I have the numbers here. She put a lot of effort on that.
Yeah.
Everything's broken down. Like Tony mentioned, he has the numbers right here because it's around 250,000 spent plus another 70 in overtime. So it's over 320 for 4 events. And the revenue in total for all that is 150. So it's less than half.
Not good.
Yeah, but I will share with Olivia tomorrow that you receive all this information because she broke it down by event, she even included all the expenses on each one. So yeah, you have all the information on this.
Well, thank you for
Okay.
that hard work email.
No, I
I'd
appreciate
like
it.
to see it.
Yeah.
No, it's a lot. She put a lot of effort on it. Yes.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, we need to figure out how to cut down that overtime.
Okay. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Dana. Next, Department of Information Technology. Do it.
Why,
Right? Huh?
why always after parks?
Next time I'll put you in front.
Most important for last.
He always, yeah, right?
Well, to be nice, you have the biggest increase request, huh? So that's why you're going last. Department of Technology. We have for first department for technology is Information Technology Services. Here there are no new requests. Current budget 612. Missing something. There is a request for a car. Like I said, all cars and vehicles are being evaluated through public services, depending on the best funding. The funding source for this vehicle would be the generated revenue from services provided outside the city by the Department of IT. So they're able to self-fund their vehicle.
With your contracted services.
Contract and services. Contract and services, 52. Well, we don't have any contract services here.
No, they contract them.
Oh, yes, correct. I didn't hear you, correct. Sorry about that. Next is information technology support. Here we do have quite a few requests and some major ones based on technology and the life of the technology. We have increase of 153,000 approximately. The major one being the Dell server, which is $90,000. The agenda management system, which is 50,000. Some of it is installation, and the other one is recurring. The new city website to be up to code, as per requirement. Replace workstations. We are replacing. We're planning to replace about a third of it this year, so it doesn't have the huge impact in one year. So we're trying to phase it out. And finally, under this department, also the MBR system, which is a recording for the camera system. So the major assets like the Dell and the computers are requested to be, not requested, but programmed to be funded by the reserves in IT as a capital improvement. So those could be from the general fund under IT. The other ones are operational, and it's part of the budget request. Any question? Okay. Next, GIS division. GIS division is coming at 359. The increase here is the routing and data services and the AMS licenses and accessories, which is basically tablets and what else?
Yeah, it's technology around the asset management system. Ramiro has kind of put together an assessment that what is needed for start this project. So that's what it is for that particular line.
The other major upgrade is the software, and as I mentioned, that's it's including the service that was paid under City Clerk here and the something to do with the traffic as well. So that's the increase in the software part of it.
How about the travel and meetings?
The travel and meetings.
The-
That was the same amount that was budgeted last fiscal year. However, reason why it wasn't used was because Ramiro, being the first year, was so busy putting together the project, the GIS, the enterprise application, and also the asset management. So we came across that it's better just to wait on training. And also we spend that money on the servers that we purchased for GIS. But of course, this next fiscal year, the plan is for him to go back to those conferences that are available. But if you want more specifics, Ramiro is here and he can provide us more details. But that's the reason why we didn't spend the money.
Yeah, we budgeted the same, but based on those reasons, we just kept it the same amount. Next, next, you'll have two same worksheet. So the first one should be the correct one is the lesser amount. So the $200,600 is the correct worksheet. So I kind of double those. Here there are no additional requests. Basically status quo for the upcoming budget.
Which is just a reference there. In
removing the charge, right?
Yeah, the account 5251 reflects change from 46,000 to 420. I'm sorry, $4,200. Reason why is because this fiscal year we pay our firewall switching and all that technology for 3 years. So this year and the coming are going to be not paid. So that's the reason why.
And last, under do department is the cybersecurity division. This is a total. Sorry. Repeat it once. The broadband division. Total, the broadband does have an increase. Total requested is 91,000. The additional support is for broadband maintenance. And that's, to clean out like and repair and add to, I think with the water or wastewater plant, they're gonna get upgrades on the.
There's different new components in this one. The first, it's the account 5280. Um, as we complete our project and we have cameras around the city and Wi-Fi, etc., the electricity needs to be paid. There is some technologies attached to city poles behind a city meter, but there is another ones that are just there that we attach to IID. And as we work with them, they provide us with the fee schedule. So we are putting aside $10,000 to pay for the electricity. And also we're gonna pay from here another, there is poles that belongs to ID, and although we are not taking power from there, they charge you to have your attachment on that pole. The next one, 5282, it went up from 11,000 to 2,100, 21,500. The reason why is IBTA increased some of the fees that or the fees that they have, but also we're gonna explore to have a secondary service provider. As you council knows, we are moving on services to the cloud, including our phone system, and we want to be ready in case of a outage on the IBTA network. So that's the reason why we had an extra money in that account. And the other two, I increased 5330. We increased 5,000 just to stop going to another account to pick up money. I mean, the system is too new, and technology, for example, I was talking to Eric this morning, and there's some cameras where, not from this deployment, from the previous deployment, where the cover is already fading, so that the recording, the feed that we're getting is not really good. So we need to replace those covers. And the last line, 5442, that's for potential replacement or expansions as needed for the city. Not necessarily yet. I have a list of items that I'm gonna go out and run and purchase, but that money will be for anything, any contingency, if you will. But I will stop for any question. No questions.
Continue on to water plant. Water plant total budget for this upcoming year, and I should have figured out the CIP projects, because those are not finalized. Those are going to be rollover, but I have the number. So removing water operations budget is 3.372. No, that's not right. Well, it's the 7.9 minus the 2.7. So because the CIP is still not spent, so it is budgeted for, but I'm trying to do operational budget right now. So that's one of the numbers I didn't remove for this exercise. For water, the major update that I have is the increase in the water meter base upgrade, which is 97,000. Here, it would fall under 5210, but we had budgeted previous year a lot more. So in reality, even though it's decreasing, we're contemplating the 97,000 under 5210. Previous budget was 256. Current request is 130.
Victor, question on item, 5264.
5264. The filter media, yes.
We're only at 99, but we just added 4 more. Am I right? To say,
But on the GACs, we don't have
to-
we don't have to change them all out at the same time. So we change out certain filter medias within 1 year, within a few years, and then we do the next ones. So we had them set up that way, so we're not getting hit every time with a large amount, and we have them spread out. So that's why
so this is gonna suffice the 8 of them that we have?
yes, because they're not being all changed out at the same year, at the same time. So they'll be split.
Correct. And this budget was actually lower because of the same reason. David wanted to say start doing it routinely instead of doing it all at once. Not routinely, but sequentially.
Yeah.
And that's the number I got based on the current purchases that we had this year. Any other questions on their water plant? That really, most of the water plant projects are through CIP, so operationally are pretty much the same. We're trying, I'm trying to budget the monies where they are being spent, so I'm lowering the ones that in the previous years have been in excess.
Yeah.
Is that what happened to debt service?
Yes.
And how about the equipment?
I was gonna ask that. Too.
Yes. So those are the equipment. Which line are you looking at? So the debt service, right? We get charged, but at the end of the year, we back it out for audit, and so we actually do get charged the 1.3, but then we back out the difference. So the actual true cost is what we're budgeting and what we've been paying the last couple of years.
And how about the equipment? I'm
And,
trying, I'm not
no,
complaining.
I understand. Equipment, for the equipment, CIP project was budgeted there last year for this current year. So, which it should have not been budgeted there. So this is more equipment that needs to be operational, daily use, maintenance, or service.
Okay.
And next under water, we do have a distribution department. Here, you can see the major difference is maintenance of equipment. So as well, it was budgeted, projects were budgeted there last year between David and myself. So those, this year we're taking it off and actually doing the actual cost of the expense.
And then the special departmental supplies.
Special departmental supplies for wastewater.
30. So we're requesting an increase in those because we were seeing a higher purchase of the meters. They were either breaking down or we're repairing them, and we purchased the meters for the ones that we replaced out of special department supplies from distribution. Okay.
So yeah, it's smart, the smart cover and pumping services for maintenance, even though it's at 2.6 previous year, for the 250 covers the flow meter calibration also that hasn't been done in quite a while. And some on the contracts, there's also a difference that you can, which is, what's it, contract services? No, that's actually under Department 510.
I know it's not a big number, but 5320,
5320.
got zero.
You guys are looking at for water's collection distribution, right?
Yeah.
5320, there's nothing budgeted.
Okay, I'll look into that one. Uh, okay, that's my mistake. It should be 6,000. I did it to Tony too. So yeah, so for
Just moving it somewhere else.
yeah, small tools is 60,000. This I miss. Any other questions for water plant?
No.
Wastewater plant, again, we have two departments, operations and collection. For wastewater, we do have two requests. Two new requests, so two collection system workers, two, which come out about 72,000 salary and benefits impact for each one. So we're looking at 100, almost close to 145,000 for both positions. And this would be on the collection side.
So you said how much for each?
72,000 and change, a little bit over
44?
144. But that this is under
On the collection
That would
side?
be
on the
under-
collections,
under collection.
right?
And you said it was 72,000 each?
Yes.
Yeah, that, you should have an increase of about 144,000.
Yeah, it doesn't add up.
So let me see.
So that would be under the 555, that's why. 'cause
Right.
it's under collection.
Yeah, but I don't see the increase there.
There's only a 50,000 increase in 555.
But your increase is over at,
Yeah.
wastewater.
That wastewater, but not enough to cover that 144,000.
Correct.
Correct.
There it is.
I'll give you the real number right now. So yes, I did not include that number. So total number there should be around 211,000
In what department?
and 555.
Should be how much, I'm sorry?
211. So I need to add those positions. Yeah. Let me see what 530.
But I still have a question on that.
Yes.
You're saying it's $144,000 add. If you add that to, if you didn't include it in 555 and you add 144 to that, that should come out to about 243.
It doesn't necessarily mean we had budgeted for an additional person. So this is based on whatever allocations they had this current year. If they moved in, if we only have one plan or depending on the plan that they have. So it's not linear increasing. So it's based more on if they're moving people around, if they move it to another, or if it went from operations to collections. So that's why it's budgeted that way. But the total, we would have personnel of 4 there under 555, 2 current, based on my allocation list, and the 2 new, collection system workers.
Thank you.
No problem.
And then just for a little more clarification on those two positions that we're asking for, it was more so because it's a state mandate now that we're having to have for wastewater to actually have a collections crew for that.
So I will check the necessary adjustments there for the salary and benefits, double check that I have included everything on their 555 for wastewater. Um,
Are we already done with 520 or have we gone through?
No, I gonna skip through because I didn't find my personnel. For 520, for wastewater, here is where we had the increase in the,
Contract services. M&O.
the contract services, the improvements,
Yep.
and the maintenance of equipment, which is almost totaling 500,000, based on the request for the, meter calibrations, the smart cover pumping services, and the Empire Power System hatch. Those are contracts. Here you see that the major, amount here under, wastewater are the CIP projects, which should be, like I explained, as same as, water. It should have been a 0 for the purpose of this exercise, as I'm presenting the CIP separately from operational. And that money would be coming from the actual reserves from wastewater.
And how about the special departmental supplies?
Special departmental supply.
5330?
Said 3,100 on that. 31,000.
31,000.
We did an increase on that one, at least for the special department supplies, because we have to get some items that are required by Cal OSHA, so we can meet compliance standards.
Thank you.
Thank you. No. Any other questions for wastewater? That last sheet that, that's in there, it's the positions request is a little bit of the history that, it was presented last year. I didn't go into much detail on the HR part since we had that presentation last, council meeting. But, here are the positions that, that are being recommended for budget next year.
If I could, did we skip over the rest of 555? I know we talked about personnel.
I apologize.
But I just had a question about the contract services and the maintenance of equipment, the cost change in those.
So contract services, there's an increase because we're gonna have the smart cover renewal, and then we also
Oh, I'm
have
sorry, what was the smart what?
the smart cover renewal.
Okay.
And then it's also for the maintenance to our Vector truck, which is the newer Peterbilt that we have. And what was the other one, Councilmember Mendoza?
Just those two, the maintenance and the contract services. Yeah, thank you.
So maintenance of the Vector truck, the new one?
Just in case, yeah, we have them come on a routine maintenance just to make sure it's not falling apart, and we have everything like that for the actual Vector truck itself.
Wouldn't,
For the Peterbilt, not the Kenworth.
okay. I was like, wait, that one should be new, it should be under warranty. Hear me.
Okay, sorry about that.
No problem. That's what we're here for. And this is the historic for the last 6 years. And this is basically current fiscal year request. Like I mentioned, those are built in, except for the wastewater that something happened that I didn't add them. But that's the actual salary and benefits that would impact if to be approved. Any questions on? I think we have a lot more. Um, oh, for the presentation purposes, I don't have anything else. I just do want to mention like the total budget for those for this current four funds that we went over today, with the exceptions of the changes I need to add or remove. We are looking at a total of 32,000,000.8, 3.2, which is general, which is a breakdown of 18.6 general fund, 1.8 do it division, water plant of 6.4, and wastewater of 5.9. So give or take the couple of mistakes I omitted, that would be the number 3.28. And out of those 14.9 are salary and benefits, which comes to about 45% of our operating budget.
Is that within a normal range?
Yes. Usually it's a little bit higher, but it is within the specs, anywhere from 40 to 60%. It depends on the I guess the business or city. Coming from experience over there, we're closer to 60%. So I think 45 is a very healthy number.
Thank you.
What was the total budget?
Budget for this exercise, for this numbers I presented, 32.8. 3288.
Thank you.
Yes. So moving forward for this year, I'll work on the adjustments I need to make for the revenues that are expected. The ones that we budgeted for this year are coming in. For next year, I'm a little bit more cautious on certain revenues like cannabis and our TOT, which the hotel being empty right now. So playing around with the revenues, we kind of in there. We have a little bit like 100,000 room to play with. Well, with the changes I need to make, maybe I'll lead up those reserves. But for future years, planning for, like you mentioned, council member, for the fire truck, for the sweeper, for our class and comp study that still under discussion for upcoming, not this year, but upcoming fiscal years, we would need to find additional sources of revenues, either sales tax study, which impact the whole city. The Nexus, I know something, the Nexus study for the impact fees. I know there was something that was started a couple of years back but never implemented. So we will need to look at additional sources of revenue.
Could we see, and maybe we can get us back and see what it would look like, a half a percent sales tax increase and a 1% sales tax increase, which just put us in line with all the other cities. Just sales tax, not property tax, anything else, just sales tax.
And you want to see
what it
what,
would-
what
what
would
it
be
would-
the impact be if we were to implement half or
Or
full?
one.
Okay. I'll look into that one. The other one was the impact fees that was started. I'm not too familiar with it, but I know it was there was a study done back in 22. There was a little bit back and forth, but it was never implemented and left as is. So that's something that our impact fees are outdated based on market. So that's something additional, revenues we can, source of revenue we can explore. And the final is, water and wastewater increase. I know we just finished that, but, I don't know if a study is, something appropriate that we need to discuss in the future, with all the projects that are, the city is doing, mainly water and wastewater projects. So that's something, that we would also would need to explore if it's something feasible or, study is, recommended or requested by council. Those will be the three new generating, unless we're getting new development, but I don't know on that part. I can't count on that one as sure money, so, those are the one, are the three, revenue sources I would explore. Looking at it more, I'll look into the sales tax and, report back on that one. Other than that, that's all I have for today. I know it's a lot to digest in hour and a half. But I don't know if council wants to see something more specific, coming up. I know the plan is to adopt next week the budget, but if you have any reservations, or changes you would like to see prior to me bringing a full presentation and a resolution to adopt, we
So
can
is this
postpone.
budget gonna be presented without a fire truck and street sweeper, or are we looking to try and have a conversation about that beforehand, or?
We can look into it. I'm not confident about that we have the actual, revenues to go out and be confident, be sure that we can afford it right now.
So this budget is prepared with us
With-
still
with-
contracting for street sweeping?
Yes, and I think the lead time on the street sweeper is also like a year. So it's something that we could bring out, once we close out the year during my end of the year report, which is around August, September. And we could be a little bit more if we have, we can also look into purchasing with reserves. Our reserves are very healthy. We are getting, interest, a lot of interest. So that's another source. So it's not that we don't have any to purchase, but it's not, I don't want to count as reserve as being, something to fund, operations. But for fire or clean super, it's a one-time thing, it's capital, improvement project, so we can for sure look into that avenue of, funding through, reserves.
I think myself, I wanna explore the idea of a fire truck, especially how Chief mentioned the lead time, the build time,
Yep.
and how two of them are
Correct.
on their last
And I
little
did,
leg.
Chief did provide their, the finance contact for the fire truck, so I did, send out an email last Friday barely. So to see what are the options, and based on the information the chief provided, I know once we sign, we don't have to pay for the first year, so that's a good deal, so we can get rolling on that one immediately, and worry about the first payment next year. But, at least we start the lead time, cut it down as soon as possible.
So you're the county will pay for.
That's a whole nother battle.
Mr. Mayor and Council, just very, very quickly, with respect to the street sweeper, we are paying currently, so I think that would, if we, buy or acquire a street sweeper, what we're currently paying, I think will go a long way towards financing that, so that's certainly something we're looking at.
Yeah.
Correct.
With respect to the other items that Victor, mentioned, the sales tax requires a vote.
Yep.
And the earliest we would be able to put that on the ballot would be 2026, so that would be the target. The other aspect is, the Prop 218, if, that would be potential, something to look at in terms of, utility rates. It's been some time since we've done that. So all potential sources.
For the, and thank you, Dennis, for the clean sweeper, I did forget, we were paying, except for the first year, It was where we would have still paying for the services and we had the hit of actually paying. For the next years, it would probably, it's gonna be a wash, basically. So it's not that we don't have it, it's just figuring out how we start paying for it.
And then for the street sweeper, we do have the option of the lease instead of if we don't wanna just outright buy it, so it's kind of, bite it off a little at a time. We do have those numbers and stuff for the street.
Alrighty. Anything else?
So, if it pleases the council, bring it to resolution for next week, or you want to see everything included prior to adopting resolution? So I can work and have those monies and, not monies, but those, options or plan A or plan B, with the sweeper and the fire truck. Or we can have those, like I mentioned, separately from the, regular budget and bring it with the capital improvements budget, which is planning to be separately, in July.
I would say that sounds better with those two, with the street sweeper and the fire
Okay.
engine being in the later.
Put it with the
for the
safety
capital
budget.
improvements.
Okay, we'll do that and have those numbers and funding, availability.
And can we make sure to get all the revised budget
Yes.
ahead of time?
So, I will revise tomorrow morning and we'll provide, so it could be sent out, in additional with all the other,
The agenda packet.
yes.
Thank you so much.
So,
Thank you guys for all your hard work on the.
Thank you.
thank you. That's all I have now.
Alright. Seeing nothing else? From anybody? I'll adjourn the meeting. Adjournment of the special meeting of the Imperial City Council until our next council meeting this upcoming
July 18th.
July
June
18th.
18th. June 18th.
June 18th, yeah.
July.